So as we entered the 1966 NHL entry draft, we knew the Boston Bruins were going to take a big look at this player, and I think that a lot of people in Saskatchewan really appreciated the Bruins taking him because not only was a strong defenseman, he represented what was best of the junior program from Central Canada. The product of Estevan of the SGHL didn't have a lot of points, but he had grit, determination, excellence. Barry Gibbs, a right-handed shot who was born in the great community of Lloydminster, made an impact over the years, played nearly 800 games, and came to what he called major hometown success. Not in Boston, but of all places, Minnesota. He was one of the key players that was part of their playoff runs during their early golden years of their franchise. Now, he was named the WCHL's Defenseman of the Year with Estevan in 1967 after being drafted. He was named to the Canadian Major Junior All-Star First Team in 1967. Now, he eventually found his way to Oklahoma City, which was a Boston affiliate, and he won back-to-back CHL regular season titles in 68 and 69. Now, he led all CHL players with 194 minutes and penalties in 69, and also led the penalty minutes in playoffs. So again, not say a goon, but an enforcer. He was named to CHL's defensive MVP in 69, and he was named to the CHL's All-Star First Team in 69. But Boston eventually, not say give up on him, but he felt that he needed to be traded, and one of the biggest deals in early Boston history, he was traded with Tommy Williams to Minnesota in exchange for a 69 first-round pick, which turned out to be the great Don Tannehill, and future considerations, Fred O'Donnell. Now, Fred O'Donnell was traded actually 5 months after the first of the deal, and a podcast on Tommy Williams, O'Donnell, and Tannehill are on this channel if you want to check out some of their career. Now, he was eventually traded by Minnesota to Atlanta in exchange for Dean Talafus and Dwight Belos, which again was a big surprise because he was such a hit in Minnesota. Now, he was eventually traded by Atlanta with Philip Muir and Kurt Bennett to St. Louis in exchange for Yves Boulanger, Dick Redmond, Bob McMillan, and 1979 second-round pick Mike Perovich. Then he was traded again traded by St. Louis with Terry Richardson, not my cousin, but the goalie, to New York Islanders in exchange for future considerations, which turned out to be Richie Hansen, Ralph Klassen, and a player to be named later from the Los Angeles roster. Now, again, on August 16th, 79, he was traded by New York Islanders to LA in exchange for, of all people, Tommy Williams. The career coming straight around to complete the June 9th deal. Now, Gibby, as we've known, also played with Houston and Birmingham to CHL, and he also attended junior college to learn about the insurance business during his playing days in Atlanta. Now, he's not the only big Gibbs in the family. He's the older brother of former minor league player Wayne Gibbs. Now, his rugged play and his two-way play eventually led him to win the WTCN TV trophy as the North Stars Rookie of the Year for the 1970 season. Now, for 3 consecutive seasons, he was the king of the penalty box for the Stars with 182 minutes in 1970, 132 in 71, and 128 in 72. And he was also Minnesota's top defenseman for 1972. So to be a top defenseman in the what they call the NHL 12 years, NHL 14, you had to be rough, you had to be durable, and that's what he was. He was also a Minnesota alternate captain for 3 seasons between 73 and 75, and also made the All-Star game in 1973. Now, he left Minnesota in 1975 with more goals, 35, than any other defenseman in team history. Now, he also recorded the big hat trick on New Year's Eve for Atlanta on December 31st, 75 at the Rangers, and he was also St. Louis captain for a season in 78-79. Now, he did have some significant injuries in his career. He missed part of the 70 season with Charlie Horse and a sprained ankle. He missed part of the 72 season with a broken jaw that caused him to wear a football face mask along with his helmet and return to action. So if you see any of the action or the action cards of that year, you know why. He also had a bad knee injury in 73. And he also had flu and mono in 77, which caused him to lose 14 games. Now, not too many people back in the day wore a helmet. He was one of the many that popularized it. Red Berenson as well, and a few others. J.C. Tremblay. But he also drew recognition by the WHA. He was drafted by the Calgary Broncos in the 72 draft for that association, February 72. Now, he started wearing that helmet in the 1970-71 season, and like I said, pretty good helmet. Very, very. It became his look, if that makes any sense. Handsome man, but with that helmet, that green helmet with the white trim, you know, it was a good visual for the NHL of that era. Good for photos. Now, he was also kind of a half coach. He was a hockey school instructor during off seasons of his playing days, so he was always giving back to the sport. Now, one of the best pairings in Minnesota history has to be him and Teddy Harris, and he played for a full season together in Minnesota youth and what you call Stanley Cup winner and Teddy Harris. And boys, they bounced the opposing players around. I saw many games where basically it was them against the boards, you know, with the opposing players, I mean. Now, his 182 minutes and penalties in 1970 has since been broken, but that was the key year for his style. Now, other off-season work, he owned a grain and cattle farm in Saskatchewan and Lord Lloydminster during his playing days, so he's given back to the land as well. Now, his most famous goal, of course, was the game winner in Minnesota's 1-0 victory over Philadelphia to clinch a playoff berth on April 4th, 1970. And if there's any Flyer fans listening, I'm not going to mention that again. That was a rough loss for the Flyers. Now, he ended his career with the CHL's Houston Apollos when the team abruptly folded in January '81. So that was something that was unforeseen because Barry was always giving back to to minor hockey where he could. So just to recap a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, Oklahoma City, where he had his first prominence. He did play 8 games. 16 games in 68 and 8 games in 69 with the Bruins, couldn't break through. And then with Minnesota, he had 16, 20, 24, 34, 38 and 24 points. Big season, of course, was his offensive breakthrough when he spent less time in the penalty box. 10 goals, 24 assists for 34 points. With Atlanta, he got back to the offensive side. Second year at Atlanta, 8, 21, 29. And then with St. Louis again, got the offense back. He had 47 points in a season and a half with St. Louis. The time with the Kings, again, he was taking less and less penalties, trying to keep to his defensive game. Final NHL totals. But if you combine the CHL, CPHL numbers, he played 1,000 games in pro, 800 give or take in the NHL, 282 points, 58 goals, and 36 games in the playoffs, and also played the Memorial Cup playoffs for Estevan in 66. But Estevan at the time, ladies and gentlemen, especially last season in 67, put up some really, really dynamite numbers. But you're gonna look at the time in Minnesota coming out, him and Goldsworthy. If I'm not mistaken, Hextall was there. There was a lot of hometown heroes on that team, and Barry was the unofficial quarterback of that defense. And let me tell you something, Minnesota games against St. Louis especially, it's funny he ended up there. There were brawls, ladies and gentlemen. You'd think there was a rivalry between Montreal and Boston, Minnesota and St. Louis, and for some reason as well, Minnesota and the Flyers. I don't know, there was always something going on. And if you remember Minnesota and the Bruins later on after you leave, for some reason Minnesota had a long memory with some of the opposing teams in regards to what do you call territorial skating. in regard to the conference play. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our latest Boston Bruins and kind of 1970s vintage sports file podcast. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. And requests are always appreciated and always considered. And don't forget, fourth wave of COVID. Be very, very careful out there. Stay away from situations where you might get infected. Keep listening to your local, state, or provincial updates, because in Canada we have rolling, orange and red stages depending on the cases. And we're going to get through this, but it takes every person to understand we don't have TB, polio, meningitis, mumps, all these old diseases that were stopped by vaccination. COVID can be stopped, but there's got to be a concerted effort to say, hey, this happened before, let's learn from it, and let's look towards the future. I'd rather have a year of lockdown than 10 years of deaths, if you know what I'm saying. Have a good day. Bye.